today I redid this look because the first time the footage was just not working with me, so I did it again. I was feeling the Halloween vibes, and this was kind of like the first Halloween / Instagram face chart recreation I did. So I hope you guys liked it, and if you would like to see how I did it, or if you would like to recreate it yourself, everything will be listed in the bottom bar, but also in the video, and just keep on watching. Also, shout out to my sister Marlene, because I keep forgetting to give her a shout out in one of my videos, so this video is for you. I start by priming my lips with the Vaseline Lip Therapy and Rosy Lips, which is basically just a chapstick. To prime my face, I go in with the Baby Skin by Maybelline, and it's the only primer I have found that works best for my under eye creasage, because I have really creasy under eyes. And I don't know if it's a combination of this primer or the powder that I use to set my concealer, but it's the only thing that makes my under eye area not crease. For foundation, of course, I go in with my L'Oreal True Match, and I just put it on my face with a Real Techniques pointed foundation brush, and I will blend it out with a beauty blender. If you find your beauty blender is not damp enough, just spray some face mist on it, and remember to match your face to your neck, honey. For concealer, I go in with the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, putting it in a triangle shape, and I will blend it out with a beauty blender. And then the picture of the face chart I have shows very highlighted under eye area, so I go in with a second concealer, the Maybelline Fit Me, and do the exact same thing. Set that concealer with the e.l.f. High Definition Powder. To brighten my under eye area a bit more, I go in with the shade Lyric from the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, first dusting a little bit on and then going in with a triangle sponge to kind of bake, but not really, because I don't leave it on for too long. I just leave it on long enough for me to put on my Milani face powder to set all of my foundation, and then I kind of just wipe off that bake that I had. To contour, I am going in with the darkest shade from the Shade and Light palette and really intensifying it as much as I can and making it as dark as possible, because in the face chart she has a very dark and defined contour, and I try to recreate it as best as I can, and I do go back in a few times just to darken it as much as I can. I go back in with the shade Lyric to bake under my contour to make it as intense as I can, and I do leave it on for quite some time. For my brows, I go in with the Anastasia Dipbrow, just filling them in as usual. Now you have to try to give yourself as close as you can to a thick, bushy unibrow. So I was using an e.l.f. eyeliner brush to just create as close as I could of hair-like strokes, starting off just on my eyebrow and then getting closer and closer to basically the center of my nose to give myself that unibrow. color Sable and Espresso, I just get both of those on a fluffy brush and work them into my crease. I start off with the color Sable, but then I go in with the color Espresso to really darken up my crease. And as you will see, I will soon start dragging in from my outer crease to my inner crease, and then just kind of basically contouring my nose with it to really create that shadow effect. I add a bit of a shadow effect to the tip of my nose by contouring with the same shade and blending it out and just darkening up that area a bit. Using the L'Oreal Gel Liner and a Real Techniques Fine Liner brush, I give myself a very extremely long wing. So I didn't make it too thick, but I did make it quite long and made sure to thin it out as best as I could. And then I start dragging in the inner corner to make you give kind of like that cat eye feline kind of thing. So I basically just draw kind of like a triangle and connect it down to my lower lash line at the bottom. I darken up my lower lash line with that same dark brown eyeshadow. With the same black liner, I give myself a second wing a little bit above that first one and dragging it from the inner corner through the crease and winging it out. Now, call me crazy, but I go in with a little bit of acrylic paint and paint it above my eyebrow. And I don't use a lot, I just use a tiny amount. And then over that paint, while it's still wet, I go in with the color Telepathy from Colourpop. It's just the only thing I found that would make Telepathy really pop. And I think it popped a little too much because I had to go back in with the Dipbrow to recreate those hair-like strokes for my eyebrow. And doing the same thing, I put Telepathy on my unibrow and recreate those hair-like strokes again. Now I put a little bit more acrylic paint starting off where that second wing is and dragging it up until the bottom of my eyebrow. And I do the exact same process, a little bit of paint and then Telepathy, and I do the same thing under my eye. I also add some to the tip of my nose, making sure I concentrate it on the tip of my nose, but I do drag up Telepathy a bit, not the acrylic paint, just Telepathy. And then I go on and paint it on my lips, which, yes, was very drying, but you know, I do it for you guys. I do it for you guys. As you can see, I do smudge it out a little bit more to give myself a bigger smile. Going in with some liquid liner, I start adding dots under my eye area where Telepathy is, and then I also start adding some around that second wing, just putting dots everywhere. I also outline my lips. I start off at the bottom and then do my Cupid's bow. Then I start filling in my lips with dots, focusing on the outer corners, but I also do some in the middle and in the center of my lips, and once again elongating my smile. Using Colourpop's white eyeliner in Exit, I add some hair-like strokes to my eyebrows. Then I start adding some dots where those black dots are, and also in the inner corner where my black eyeliner is, I add a bit of a second eyeliner above that black, and I just do those white dots kind of between where Telepathy is and where the black dots are. Here you can feel free to really add dots wherever you like and wherever you think it looks good. I just add some on my first main wing, above, under, and then on my lower lash line I add a few, and then I start creating kind of like some hair-like strokes, like as if they were my under eye eyelashes. In these next few steps, I'm kind of just following the face chart and adding a few dots to my eyebrow, and then adding a line on my nose and a bit of white on the tip of my nose. I add a kind of like thick rectangle to my chin, and then I do a few dots on the corners of my eyebrow and a few in the center. But once again, you can do whatever you like for this part. It's just doing whatever you think looks good. Going in with Jeffree Star's liquid lipstick in the color Unicorn Blood, I just put some on the back of my hand, and then with a thin pencil brush, I just create a line in the inner crease of my eye, and I also add a few hair-like strokes to my eyebrows just to give them a bit more of dimension. I kind of recreate my Cupid's bow a bit above where my lip is, and I also add a few red dots to my lips. For the last pop of color, I go in with Colourpop's eyeshadow in Coconut and just give myself a bit more dimension in my eyebrows. I also add a bit under my lip. And then I add a few dots on the corners of my mouth. Not really dots, but more of just a shadowing effect. Now to end the look, I first curl my eyelashes, and then with a black eyeliner, I put it in my waterline, and I also tight line my upper lash line. Then I go in with some false lashes. I have no idea which ones they are. All I know is that they're from Ardell. I think they're the 105s. I put on some mascara to blend together my normal lashes and the false lashes. And here is Armando, just popping into the YouTube video. Okay guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be thinking about more Halloween-y looks. I was in the Halloween vibe, so I did this look and then I had to redo it because I was out of frame the whole time. But it's okay because I still liked how it came out, and I did it a lot faster this time, I think. Bye!